Okay, so now we're looking at the last 24 channels of the mixer, and by default we have it set up as a summing mixer. So you'll see that that last channel 48 is currently got a metronome playing through it. As a default routing, we have outputs 1 and 2, which is kind of our main output. It's like what you will output if you're just listening to via Spotify or something like that on your computer. Goes to this last stereo channel here. So let's say we wanted to hear that on the system. So I'll bring the fader all the way down. I'll turn ST on, and then I'll bring this up, and I'll bring the signal up on my central station. And now we've got a very nice metronome. We can get that out of the stereo bus, but that's how we hear basically audio from our computer into the board. Now, a lot of people swear by analog boards as summing mixers, which means you're sending a lot of different channels to the mixer, and then it sums it all together and then spits out a stereo track. Now, let's say we wanted to do that. So let's say we send this to our stereo bus. We're just gonna mute this, but let's say we wanted to sum this all. So basically the output of this board goes to our speakers, and then it also goes back into the Orion on channels 25 and 26. So that main master fader that I showed you in the bus section controls the level of the summed mix. Now, again, this is going to be kind of above most people's knowledge or pay grade, but it's just here for documentation. So if you want to sum a mix, channels 1 and 2 will go through 48, and then from the left-hand side over, it basically channels 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and etc. If you're going to sum a mix like that, typically what I like to do is separate the mix into stem groups. So I'll do drums and then bass, which is oftentimes a mono channel, and then vocal stems and then effects, and you can do that all however you want in your digital thing, and then output the different groups as stereo tracks. Now, when you're doing that, you're going to want to have your pan knobs left and right, left and right, left and right, or however, depending on if you're sending a mono track. And then you can add effects here. A lot of times this is where I'll do some parallel compression. I might add a little final polish reverb, and maybe I'll use the faders to mix a little bit if I don't want to do that too much digitally. You can also adjust the input gains and pad signals if you want to do a little bit more kind of mixing on the console. But typically I'll try to leave things as flat as possible and just do a sum here. So that is the default way this board is set up. If you're doing a analog mix and you're coming straight from the tape machine, there'll be some patching you have to do. We'll cover all the analog stuff in another video, but just know that this right-hand section is your summing mixer and your return from your computer. So if you want to get your computer sounding through the board again, that is this right here, ST on, move this fader up, and then you got signal. Good? All good? Okay, so this is our main live room panel, and feel free to unplug whatever you want here. Just try and plug it back in. By default, our PA has the first 16 channels split from the PA to this patch panel. And then on the very bottom, you'll see A through H. Those are the returns coming from the mixing board. So A and B are already hooked up, and those are basically the headphone mix 1 and 2, and they're by default routed back into our PA. You're welcome to unplug these if you're just going to bypass that PA, which in most cases, if you're just recording, I would just bypass the PA, and then just plug in your mixes straight to these. So in this system, A through F are active. G and H aren't doing anything. They're just totally blank. And the other 2 headphone mixes are in the ISO room. So let's say we want to get a headphone mix out. There's headphone amplifiers that are sitting on this table right here. These are mono headphone amplifiers by default. All you do is connect an XLR cable from A through F to this thing, and then connect a pair of headphones to this. Now, if they are out of batteries, you can unscrew this thing right here, and there will typically be charged batteries sitting in the battery charger on this table. You can pry this battery out like that and then pop in new batteries and plug the thing in. Please do remember to turn these off when you're not using them or when you're done with your session. Otherwise, you'll drain the batteries for everyone. So please keep that in mind. And there's additional headphone monitoring boxes here. These are wireless units. They're a little bit more tricky to use because they're wired to the PA currently. So I'm not going to discuss the operation of these yet. If you do require wireless monitoring, that's something you can ask me about directly. Yeah, so again, channels 1 through 16 are here. Headphone mixes 1 through 6, A through F are here. So channels 17 through 20 come out of this panel here, and they are Ethernet to XLR. So we have this conversion box, which allows us to get 4 channels through a network line. And one thing to note is phantom power does not actually pass through all the way over here. So if you want phantom power on mics over here, you have to do it separately with a separate phantom power box. By default, we have this stereo ribbon mic. On the piano, actually where it's at right now is a pretty good location, it captures it pretty well. You can take the hood off, just make sure to put that back on when you're done. And that covers the piano area. There's 4 channels of mics there. Next we'll move on to the ISO room. Okay, and then in the ISO room, we have a very similar situation where there is a network to XLR conversion box right here. We have 2 microphone channels. That one is by default going into this tube microphone supply, and the other one is right here for another mic. And then we have 2 headphone outs. So these are channels 7 and bus channels 7 and 8. So you can send a headphone mix or 2 headphone mixes directly here. Now, if you're going to use this tube mic, just note that the power supply needs to be unplugged and turned off when you're done. You could plug it in right here. And then basically there is another switch right here to turn the thing on. And it'll take probably 10 minutes or so before the tube mic is fully warmed up and ready to go, but it sounds amazing on vocals. That basically does it for the ISO room. Okay, last but not least, you might have noticed that there were only 2 channels in the ISO room. That's because we moved 2 additional XLR lines, which are right here. These are channels 23 and 24 into the control room. So if you want to just hang out in the control room with an acoustic guitar or a bass or something like that, you got these 2 XLR lines. You can drag these around wherever you want. Just please coil them up and put them back to the left of our rack unit when you're done. So you've got 2 channels in the mixing room, 2 channels in the ISO room, 4 off the piano, and 16 in the main live room. And then you can there's headphone outs in here too, they're all over the place. So you can get lots of isolation if you want. And I think that about covers it. All right, thank you for spending some time with us today, going over the basic operation at Studio. And we're gonna close down, and we'll be putting out some more videos for you to learn the tape machine and some of the more complicated aspects, as well as some mix tips coming soon. So thanks again for being with us, and enjoy your time in the studio. So I'm gonna shut this down, and just one little recap to shut down. First, I'm gonna do this, shut down my DAW so it disconnects the audio interface. And then I'm gonna come over here, turn off the audio interface, kill the general power, kill the mixer down here, and then kill this last rack. Everything's off, except for the tape machine. We'll turn that off as well. And I'm ready to get out of here. Have a nice night.